Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Yeah.
We always appreciate getting interesting articles from all kinds of sources.
Yeah, definitely helps us keep things fresh and exciting.
Huge shout out to LitRPG Reads for sending over this one. It's from Paul Bello Finefellow.
And the title?
When Fighters Get Funny Why Spells, with the parenthetical D&D Magic Homebrew.
So we're diving into homebrew territory today, looking at how to spice up our games with some humor.
Precisely. And focusing on those classes that don't usually get to fling spells around.
Right, like your fighters, your rogues, maybe even a barbarian or two.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love playing those non-magical classes, don't get me wrong. There's something satisfying about a well-timed sneak attack or a powerful sword swing.
Absolutely.
But sometimes you want a little something extra.
Right. You want to add a bit of that magical flair, but in a way that fits the character.
Yeah. It's easy for those classes to feel overshadowed when you've got a wizard teleporting across the battlefield or a sorcerer raining down fireballs. You end up feeling like you're just there while the spellcasters are having all the fun.
Exactly. Like you're holding sparklers while everyone else is enjoying a full-blown fireworks show.
That's a great analogy, and that's where this article comes in. It's all about creating homebrew spells that are specifically designed to be funny and functional for those non-magical classes.
So giving them a chance to shine, even in a world filled with magic.
Exactly. And the article highlights some really creative examples, like this one called Battle Banter.
Battle banter. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued already. That sounds like something a bard would do.
Well, it's actually designed for fighters and barbarians. It's all about using your words as weapons.
Interesting. So how does it work?
So imagine this. You're a fighter facing off against a fearsome ogre.
Okay, got it. Classic scenario.
But instead of just swinging your sword,
Yeah.
you decide to engage in a little verbal sparring.
Oh, I like where this is going.
You cast Battle Banter and unleash a torrent of witty insults and cutting remarks aimed at your opponent.
Aimed at the ogre.
The ogre, enraged and humiliated, has to spend their next turn shouting insults right back at you.
So it's like a forced taunt, but with a comedic twist.
Precisely. It's a way to disrupt an enemy's strategy. Force them to waste a turn on a war of words instead of attacking.
That's clever. I can see how that would lead to some hilarious moments at the table, especially if the players get creative with their insults.
Oh, absolutely. The article even suggests that the dungeon master can get involved by coming up with some particularly colorful retorts for the enemy.
Oh, that's brilliant. I'm picturing a barbarian character just spewing out the most ridiculous, nonsensical taunts.
And the ogre just standing there sputtering with rage, trying to come up with a suitable comeback.
It's the perfect blend of humor and strategy.
And he gives those non-magical classes a chance to shine in a way that's unique and entertaining.
Exactly. It's not just about hitting things with a sword or shooting arrows. It's about using your wit and your words to gain an advantage.
And that's just one example. The article is full of these creative and hilarious spells that are designed to add a whole new dimension to your D&D games.
So basically, it's like giving everyone a chance to be the life of the party, even if they're not a bard.
Exactly. And I've actually had a similar experience in a recent game.
Oh, really? Tell me about it.
I was playing a rogue, and I was feeling a bit like I was just kind of there while the spellcasters were doing all the cool stuff.
Right, like watching a fireworks show with sparklers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted my rogue to have a little more flair, something to make her stand out, besides her uncanny ability to pickpocket guards.
I completely understand. Sometimes you want to contribute to the action in a way that's a little more explosive, even if that explosion is metaphorical and involves a well-timed pun.
Or a strategically placed ladder.
Oh, I like where you're going with this. Let's talk about some more of those spells.
Absolutely. Let's dive in and see what other comedic gems this article has in store for us.
Sounds like fun.
All right, so let's move on to the next example, which is...
I'm ready when you are.
Perfect. Okay, so this next spell is called Loot Grease.
Loot Grease. Now that sounds like a spell for a rogue.
You got it. This one is all about causing chaos and taking advantage of opportunities.
I'm listening.
Imagine this. You're sneaking through a dungeon, trying to avoid a group of patrolling guards.
Classic rogue stuff.
You cast Loot Grease, and a 5-foot area in front of you becomes coated in this slippery magical grease.
Okay, so far so good.
Now, as the guards walk through this area, they have to make a dexterity saving throw.
Ah, the classic saving throw.
And if they fail...
They slip and slide all over the place.
Exactly. And not only that, but they drop everything they're carrying.
Everything.
Weapons, shields, loot, you name it. It all goes flying as they fumble and try to regain their footing.
Okay, that's amazing. It's like the ultimate pickpocket move. But instead of taking things, you're making them drop everything.
Precisely. And the article suggests getting creative with the placement of this grease. You could use it to create a slippery escape route, disarm a group of enemies, or even set a trap.
I love it. It's not just about dealing damage. It's about using your environment and your cunning to gain an advantage.
Exactly. And speaking of cunning, let's move on to a spell that's perfect for those who love to reach new heights, both literally and metaphorically.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
This spell is called Ladder Launcher, and it's designed for rogues and rangers who are all about mobility and tactical positioning.
Ladder launcher. Does it involve a magical catapult or something?
Not quite, although that would be pretty awesome.
Right.
This spell's a bit simpler, but still incredibly effective. You basically conjure a ladder and magically launch it at any vertical surface within 30 feet.
Okay, so like a portable magical staircase.
Exactly. And it lasts until your next long rest, so you can use it multiple times.
So you could use it to reach high vantage points, scale walls, or even create a quick escape route.
All of those things. And the article encourages players to get creative with how and where the ladder lands.
Okay, give me an example.
Imagine a rogue launching a ladder right into the middle of a fancy banquet.
Okay, I can see it now.
It creates this huge distraction while the rest of the party sneaks in to steal the crown jewels.
It's brilliant. It's not just about the practical application of the spell. It's about using it in unexpected and hilarious ways.
Exactly. And that's what makes these homebrew spells so much fun. It's about adding that layer of creativity and whimsy to your games.
So far, we've seen spells that focus on taunting enemies, causing chaos, and enhancing mobility. But I'm curious, are there any spells that cater to specific classes, like, say, barbarians?
Oh, absolutely. There's one called Meat Shield that's perfect for our barbarian friends.
Meat shield. Okay, that sounds like something a barbarian would love.
Imagine this. Your barbarian character is charging headlong into battle.
Classic barbarian move.
But they find themselves facing a particularly nasty opponent.
Oh, no. Things are about to get messy.
They're outmatched, outnumbered, and things are looking grim.
What do they do?
They cast Meat Field.
Meat shield. And what happens?
An illusory cow appears out of thin air.
A cow? Did I hear that right?
You heard it right. A phantom cow, conjured from the barbarian's sheer force of will and love of all things bovine.
Okay, that's amazing.
This spectral bovine wonder positions itself between the barbarian and their attacker.
So it's like a temporary shield, but made of cow.
Precisely. And it can absorb one attack before disappearing in a puff of smoke and a final mournful moo.
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, and I love it.
It's so absurd. So perfectly in line with the barbarian's chaotic energy.
It's the kind of spell that would make me as a dungeon master say, sure, why not? Let's see where this goes.
That's the spirit. And think about the look on the enemy's face when their carefully aimed attack connects with nothing but a wisp of smoke and the faint smell of hay.
Priceless. It's the perfect blend of humor and tactical advantage.
And speaking of tactical advantage, let's talk about a spell for those who prefer a more graceful exit.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Who are we talking about here?
This one's called Dramatic Exit, and it's perfect for bards and rogues who love to make a grand entrance, or in this case, a grand departure.
A grand departure. Okay, I'm picturing it now.
Imagine your rogue has just pulled off an incredible heist, snatching the crown jewels right from under the noses of a dozen guards.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat.
Or maybe your bard has just finished their most epic ballad yet, bringing the entire tavern to its feet with thunderous applause.
The tension is high. The spotlight is on them. What happens next?
They cast Dramatic Exit. They vanish. Poof, gone. Leaving behind a cloud of colorful smoke, a shower of glitter, or perhaps the lingering scent of freshly baked cookies.
And of course, a perfectly timed sound effect.
Absolutely. A fanfare of trumpets, a chorus of ghostly whispers, or maybe just a simple ta-da echoing through the air.
I love it. It's like having a built-in smoke bomb and getaway car all rolled into one spell.
Exactly. And it automatically grants you the disengage action, so you can escape without provoking attacks.
So it's not just about the theatrics. It's actually a practical tool for escaping sticky situations.
Precisely. And again, the article encourages players to get really creative with the description of the smoke and sound effects.
The more over the top, the better.
Exactly. It's all about creating a memorable moment, leaving the other players and the dungeon master in awe and amusement.
I love how these spells encourage players to embrace the role-playing aspect of D&D, to think about their characters' personalities and how they would react in these situations.
It's not just about rolling dice and optimizing stats. It's about bringing those characters to life, giving them a unique flair and a sense of humor.
And that's something we can all appreciate, whether we're seasoned D&D veterans or just starting out on our adventures.
Speaking of starting out, I'm curious to hear what other ideas the article has for incorporating humor into D&D campaigns. Did they mention anything about magic items or special skills?
I was just about to ask that myself.
You read my mind. The article actually goes a step further, suggesting that we can expand this concept of humorous homebrew to magic items and even character skills.
Now we're talking. I'm already imagining a rogue with boots that let them jump incredible heights, landing on unsuspecting enemies like a swashbuckling grasshopper.
Or a bard with a hat that makes them an expert juggler, entertaining crowds and disarming foes with their incredible feats of dexterity.
Those are fantastic ideas. And think about how those items could lead to some amazing role-playing moments.
I'm picturing a rogue using their bouncy boots to leap over a chasm, only to land right in the middle of a group of unsuspecting goblins.
Or a bard using their juggling skills to distract a guard while the rest of the party sneaks past.
The possibilities for hilarity are endless. And it's not just about the items themselves, it's about how the players use them.
It's about giving them the tools to create their own moments of comedic brilliance, to surprise each other and the dungeon master with their ingenuity and wit.
The article also suggests adding humorous skill checks or feats. Imagine a character with a feat that lets them make a ridiculous pun as a bonus action.
Potentially stunning their enemies with the sheer awfulness of their wordplay.
Or a skill check to pull off a perfectly timed pratfall, tripping over a rug and accidentally disarming a trap in the process.
I love that. It's about embracing the unexpected, finding humor in the seemingly mundane and using it to your advantage.
It's about remembering that D&D is at its heart a game of imagination and storytelling. And sometimes the best stories are the ones that make us laugh.
And that's where the Dungeon Master comes in. They play such a crucial role in setting the tone and creating the space for humor to flourish.
Absolutely. It's about being open to the players' ideas, encouraging them to think outside the box, and responding to their antics in a way that keeps the game fun and engaging for everyone.
It's like a perfectly timed punchline delivered with just the right amount of wit and absurdity. And it's not just about telling jokes. It's about creating those moments of unexpected hilarity.
Those situations where the player's actions and the world's reactions collide in a glorious symphony of laughter.
And it's important to let the players lead the comedy. Don't force the humor. Let it emerge naturally from their choices and actions.
As a dungeon master, you're there to facilitate, to create the space for those moments to happen, to build a world where both the epic and the absurd can coexist.
Exactly. The Dungeon Master's role is to be a guide, a collaborator, and sometimes even a comedic foil to the players' antics.
It's about reacting to their ideas with a sense of playfulness, a willingness to say yes and to their most outlandish suggestions.
Another great tip from the article is to encourage NPCs to react to the players' antics. Imagine a group of stuffy nobles reacting to a barbarian's phantom cow.
Or a stoic knight losing their composure at the sight of a rogue covered in loot grease.
It's those unexpected reactions that can really make a scene memorable. It creates a sense of a living, breathing world where even the NPCs have a sense of humor.
A willingness to be surprised and amused by the player's actions.
And ultimately, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Creating a world where anything is possible, where laughter and adventure go hand in hand.
And where even the most serious of quests can be punctuated by moments of pure, unadulterated silliness.
Couldn't have said it better myself. This whole concept of funny homebrew spells and items is about more than just getting laughs.
It's about adding a layer of creativity and whimsy to the game, making it more engaging and memorable for everyone involved.
It's about remembering that D&D is at its heart a game about imagination and storytelling. And sometimes the best stories are the ones that make us laugh, that surprise us, that transport us to worlds where anything is possible.
And where even the most mundane of encounters can become a source of endless amusement.
It's a reminder that even in the face of dragons, dungeons, and deadly traps, there's always room for a little lighthearted fun.
A bit of absurdity.
Oh.
A dash of whimsy.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is something we can all raise a glass to.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, I want to give another nod to Paul Bello, fine fellow, for bringing this awesome article to our attention.
It's really got us thinking about the creative possibilities of Homebrew and how we can use it to make our games even more fun and engaging.
It's a reminder that the best D&D experiences are often the ones we create ourselves, drawing inspiration from unexpected sources and infusing our games with our own unique brand of humor and creativity.
All right, so we've talked about some pretty awesome spells from the article: Loot Grease, Dramatic Exit.
Oh, yeah. And Meat Shield. Don't forget Meat Shield.
Oh, how could I? That Phantom Cow is a classic. But now I'm curious to hear what you all think.
Yeah. What about you listeners out there? What kind of wacky homebrew spells have you come up with?
I mean, the article gives us some great examples, But I bet you all have some even better ideas up your sleeves.
Right, like imagine a spell specifically for bards.
Oh, like Encore.
Yeah, Encore, and it forces everyone to relive their last turn, good or bad.
Oh, that would be amazing. You could have a player who just rolled a critical hit.
And they get to do it again.
Or a player who completely fumbled their attack.
Back to square one for them.
It's hilarious.
What about a spell for rogues? Something like Pocket Dimension.
Pocket Dimension, I like it.
Yeah, and they can pull out literally anything from their pocket.
No matter how ridiculously oversized it is.
Right, like a giant anvil or a full-size trebuchet.
Oh, I could just see the Dungeon Master's face when a player tries to pull that off.
It would be priceless.
So listeners, share your most outlandish spell ideas in the comments below.
Tell us the name, the class it's for, and how it works.
We want to hear all about it.
Let's see what kind of collective comedic genius we can unleash upon the D&D world.
I'm really excited to see what you all come up with. I bet there are some truly hilarious spells just waiting to be discovered.
Yeah, and remember, folks, the only limit is your imagination.
So go forth and create some amazing homebrew.
Fill those dungeons with laughter and adventure.
And until next time, may your dice rolls be ever in your favor.
And your puns always land.